Welcome, everyone. It is Monday night. It's my best Saturday Night Live impression. It's not very good. Anyway, we're excited to be back with you for another week and looking forward to um, walking into Easter and Holy Week. It might line up pretty close, but I know we'll be off a little bit, but it's going to be good. We just had Youth Sunday and just had a blast, and we're just really proud of our seniors, but also all of our students for just how you're just handling where you are, and so. But we're thankful that our seniors could lead us in worship on Sunday and just did such an outstanding job. We're just thankful for the words they shared and the music they sang and just the whole thing. So thank you guys. You guys were awesome. Keep it up. That's what I got.
Okay, and then tonight we're going to be in Matthew 21 for the Abide in Me challenge. And we realized we did on Friday, we did 19 and 20, and it didn't save. So we're sorry if you guys missed that. We talked a little bit about some of the parables about who's welcome in the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of heaven is like. And I think the big thing that stuck out to us is that everyone is equal in the kingdom of heaven. And so that's sort of a really quick summary from 19 and 20. We're sorry that it didn't save, but we're excited to jump in to 21 tonight. You want me to go first?
And hopefully it saves tonight. I mean, whatever you want to do.
All right. Matthew 21. I think for me, it's a really simple passage. I got to find it now here. 18. Passage number 18. Matthew 21:18. It's right before sort of this like very different kind of parable about or time where he's cursing this fig tree. But it just says, in the morning when he returned to the city, he was hungry. And for me, it just struck me this really human aspect of Jesus. We've been seeing very divine aspects of Jesus, of seeing him perform miracles, and we've seen him predict his death. But it just was this. It sort of stood out to me as this passage that he had human needs too. So being hungry would be one of them. And so it just was this moment of him being divine and human at the same time. It just struck me tonight as I was reading.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, Jesus got hungry just like we do, and he had feelings of things just like we do, and that's important for us to remember and know that Jesus was fully human as well as being fully divine. And so a good reminder of that.
Well, and I think in this chapter a couple times we see Jesus being angry. So talking about that temple being more of a selling house, and then he curses this fig tree in this passage. So I just think we see a little bit more of his human side.
Yeah, and that he had a full range of emotions that are okay to feel.
Yeah.
It's what you do with those emotions that can really determine whether you're using it in constructive or destructive ways with what you do with that. But feeling the emotion, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and Jesus felt them all, that's for sure. The good, the bad, and the ugly. What struck out to me today is always underline quite a bit and never have time to do it all. But that is, I guess, that's just my nature, or just my talking too much. But anyway, the thing I kept coming back to was verses 14 and 15. So this is where Jesus has just like upset the change tables in the synagogue, and he moves on, and he just blasts them. And then the next verse is verse 14. It just says, the blind and the lame came to the temple, and he healed them. It was almost like Jesus was creating an example of, instead of worrying about the financials and the money and the selling and you making your profit so much, why don't you just do and be with the people who need the most? Yeah. Why don't you just care for the least that are right in front of you? Yes, you might not be able to heal them like I can, but they came to him, meaning they weren't there. They weren't there. They weren't amongst the people of the synagogue. They were the outsiders. And Jesus welcomed the outsiders in and healed them directly. It says just comma, and he healed them. So again, no pause, no waiting. Jesus said, come on, and he healed them. But the other part of this is that verse 15 is that it basically the teachers of the law and the chief priests get angry about the wonderful things that Jesus was doing. And about the children shouting in the courts that, this is so amazing. And it ends the sentence with, they were indignant. And so I just wonder, can we become like the chief priests at times and be so mad at someone else's success in the midst of ministry?
Yeah.
Or just doing such good work, but we have this jealousy within our hearts. That just stood out to me tonight to say, we should be celebrating with each other on successes and walking with each other through failures and helping each other up. But here they could have continued to celebrate this and continued to lift Jesus up. And instead they knew they were good things. It says that they saw the wonderful things he did. So they saw good. They saw amazing things, and they still went the opposite way to rain on the parade in a sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it's sometimes when we, how you were saying, we get mad at other people. It's we're all on the same team for God.
Right.
And if one church has 1,000 people and one church has 800, and we're mad that we don't have 1,000, stuff like that is I think so silly, that the whole point is that people are there worshiping God, and who's not there and who needs to be there,
Yeah, it reminds me of, why are we in competition with each other as churches? Yeah. Or why do we seem to be? And the other thing is we've all felt the notion of somebody's success was awesome, and yet we could not be happy and excited for them. And I think this is part of it. There's jealousy and envy and all sorts of other things that creep into our hearts to harden them, to make us feel these things we just mentioned. And I think the Pharisees and teachers of the law just are a good reminder of that. In the midst of Jesus, of all people, doing amazing work, they could not be happy and excited about it. Yeah. That just blows my mind. And yet, tomorrow I could be the person who somebody has a great success within the church or something, and I'm I didn't have a hand in that. That's crap. Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And so I think for me, it was a reminder that just because just because I don't have my hand in it, or because I'm not involved in it, does not mean I can't celebrate it as if I was part of it. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of Finley playing basketball and how excited he would get when one of his teammates scored a basket.
Yeah.
He got as excited as if he had hit the half-court shot to end the half. I mean, that's how excited he got because of it. And he had no part, maybe a couple of times he had an assist, but otherwise he had no part in the basket.
Yeah.
And yet he was jumping and skipping all the way back, screaming and yelling, yeah, and giving high fives and stuff. You would have thought he was the kid who made the shot.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same way for us, is us celebrating the exciting things that God is doing, and knowing that sometimes it's in the midst of our direct contact and sometimes it's not, and either way is okay.
Yeah.
So that's what really shouted out to me today, is let's, as a mentor of mine and yours said one time, many times, is let's get out of the way of ourselves.
Yeah.
Lord, help me get out of the way of myself. And, she always said, you keep your hands open to receive when you're saying that. Because if you're closed off, you can't receive that.
Yeah.
You can't receive what God is trying to give to you in the midst of what you're praying for. So anyway, whether it spoke to you or not, it spoke to me. So, and I mean, we all have to check ourselves in different ways, but I think especially in the work that God is trying to do in our lives and the lives of people around us, it may be that something amazing is happening that somebody else is playing a key role in, that God wants to point out to you to say, see, I didn't need you, but I want you to celebrate this anyway. Or I want you to see something in the midst of what's happening.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For you to go and do the same, or go do something in another vein that is in the line of your giftedness or something. So anyway, there is a lot going on here as Jesus rides into Jerusalem, and, you know, in one way is celebrated, and the next he's, you know, just ripping into people, and then all of a sudden celebrate. It's this back and forth of like celebration. Then Jesus is like, hey, I'm the real deal, and this is accountability, and this is what I'm about. And we all know those people who are like, sorry, you thought one thing, but you this is who I am, and this is what we're doing. So, excuse me, that was a good dinner. We are headed we are heading into chapter 22 tomorrow, and we're actually going to post this one online tonight, barring any problems with my phone.
Yeah, let's hope.
And so we invite you to do this with us. Continue the journey with us, you know, and continue doing this together. We would invite you to read through chapter 21 and give us some comments of what you got out of it, just like we're sharing what we got out of it too. Love you guys tuning into us and saying hey, and we just want to connect with you all and share this with your friends as a way to that they can connect in with this too. So we're walking into Holy Week soon, but we're not quite there yet. And so anyway, we will catch you tomorrow night. Yep. And in the meantime, have a great evening. I hope online school is going well for you guys, and or whatever you're doing. And until then,
see y'all tomorrow.
Bye. Peace.